talk about how you first found out,
Okay.
and like, yeah, I guess start there.
Okay. So back at the end of April, it was a normal weekday. I think it was a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. I was getting ready to go take a shower
This is when?
back in April,
April.
end of April.
This year.
Yes, of
Okay.
this year. So I was going to take a shower and kind of noticed that there was something very strange with my right side.
Uh-huh.
So I actually called in my mom, our mom.
Yeah. So this is my sister, by the way.
Yeah. So
Just so you
I
guys
called
know.
in mom, and I asked her to check, and typical Greek mom lost her mind.
Yeah. Like like you felt a lump.
Yes.
What does that feel like?
And I felt weight, a lot of weight on the right side all of a sudden. So I kind of started poking around. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense because there was a whole section on the lower side that was much harder than the other
Let's just
side.
say, like, you're, just so everyone knows, like, you're 35.
At the time, yes,
this
I was
point.
35. Yeah, at this point, I'm
Okay.
35. Relatively, okay health.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we'll get into that.
yeah. So, mom comes in, takes a look, has her little freak out. So,
Right.
I make a promise Monday morning, I'm going to go straight to the emergency room to see what's going on. So, weekend goes by, uneventful. Monday morning, I get up and I go to the hospital. Turns out that day the hospital's jam-packed, so they book me an appointment for the following day
Okay.
at a clinic near the house. So the next day I went to the clinic, met the doctor there. She checked me out and sent me right away for, I believe it was an ultrasound first. So I didn't get an appointment for the ultrasound for another 4 weeks. So the appointment went
Why so long?
the medical system here.
Right. Yeah.
So the earliest appointment I can get was for the end of May. So it's pretty much a month that I have to wait. So the end of May comes around. In the meantime, I tried to find other places to do the ultrasound.
Right.
Everybody was booked up. Laval was showing me appointments for August.
Yeah.
So I kept my appointment for the end of May. So end of May comes around. I went to do the ultrasound, and they didn't let me leave. They're like, we want you to do a mammogram.
Is that because of what they saw on the ultrasound?
Yeah, but they didn't say anything at that point, right? Because they can't really tell you.
Right.
Now, at this point, you can kind of pick up on the person's body language. So seeing her face, I was like, okay. It doesn't
Yeah, like
look...
they know what they're seeing.
Like I saw the radiologist came back in, did her check, and I'm like, okay, it's probably not good. But I'm like, you know what? We'll wait and see. So I went to do the mammogram. They tell me to wait again. Don't leave. Hold on. All right. So she comes back with the paper. She goes, I want you to go do a biopsy. She goes, I've sent your file to the hospital, and they're going to call you to book you an appointment. So I'm like, okay. Up until there, it's good. You don't know what's happening. It could be a number of things at this point. And then I think it was... So on the following Monday, so this is like the first week of June at this point, they call me from the hospital, ask me a series of questions over the phone to answer, and then they're like, we'll call you back to book the biopsy.
Okay.
I'm like, okay. So the next day, 8 a.m., she calls. She's like, can you be here today at 1 o'clock? She goes, the doctor took a look at your file, and she wants you to come in today for the biopsy. So right there, I started talking to myself and bracing myself that, okay, odds are that it's probably going to be bad news in the long run.
Right.
And you know what? You have your gut feelings. So I knew. After I saw the radiologist's face, and I was trying to, convince the ones around me, brace yourself because it's probably going to be bad news. So I went in for the biopsy, and... most painful thing ever, for the record. And the doctor told me that did the biopsy. She's like, it's most likely cancer.
Yeah.
She goes, because of the size of it. She goes, because the size of your lymph nodes, because my lymph nodes were extremely inflamed as well. She goes, just the whole thing. There's a lot of ugly going on over there.
Yeah.
She goes, obviously, we have to wait for the pathology report to come back.
Yeah.
But she goes, just brace yourself. I'm like, okay.
When did they say, okay, it's that for sure?
Oh my gosh, I don't remember the date, but I know it was weeks that had gone by. And finally,
So it was June at this point?
yeah, towards the end of June at this point.
So you felt a lump in April,
Yeah.
end of April,
End of April.
and towards the end of June is when you found out.
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
It's insane. And now I get why so many things go bad with people's health, because they fall through the cracks.
It's more like it's because your cancer is aggressive, right? They told you that because it obviously grew very quick,
Yeah.
and so 2 months of just waiting, essentially this cancer is still growing
Yeah.
aggressively.
So I lost a good month of sitting around waiting, being jerked around between hospital and clinic.
And this is because of the system. How it
This is because of the system. So basically, what happened is that within 2 weeks, I hadn't heard anything. So when somebody tells me we're sending it rush, it means that it's a rush, right?
Right.
Within, I can understand, maybe 10 business days. Like it takes time to
Yeah.
produce a pathology report or write up the report, whatever the case may be. But a full 2, almost 3 weeks later, and I still hadn't heard anything. So I started making phone calls. I called the hospital. They're like, no, we've sent all your results to the clinic. I'm calling the clinic. They're like, we haven't gotten anything. This went on for days, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. As you know, other people tried to get the results
Right.
for me. They weren't giving them. Meanwhile, they were telling me, no, the other doctor has to call and get them themselves. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
So I got up and I went to the clinic one day and I demanded to speak with the doctor that I originally saw.
Right.
And she was kind enough to see me.
Right.
And she goes, okay, I'm going to look into it. She goes, I give you my word. I will call you by the end of the day. So she did.
Okay.
She's like, the hospital was supposed to call you the week prior to come in and to go see the breast clinic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And I remember I was sitting outside and I'm like, all right, so just so I'm not misunderstanding anything, it is cancer. She goes, yeah.
Okay. And crazy that it took that long.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so now tell us, so it's breast cancer,
Yes.
but it also now has left the breast, right?
Yeah.
And spread to your bone
Correct.
a little bit. So it's considered stage
4.
4. Okay. So now, what was the doctor's recommendation as far as like how you're going to treat it? Was so, I was there for some of those meetings, obviously. Once it hits stage 4, they consider it non-curable,
Correct.
which means they don't want to operate
That's right.
because it would be a
Waste.
waste of a surgery.
Yes. Exactly.
Crazy.
Exactly.
Do you think that's because like healthcare is free in Canada and like they kind of budget who they're going to spend money on?
I think so. I think it's the business behind it.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Because if you're paying,
Exactly.
why wouldn't they do it? But because no one's paying, well, the government's paying, they have to like
Yeah.
only use surgery on people they think they could cure.
Because in my experience, it was really we won't waste the surgery on someone like you, meaning someone that in their book,
Is
stage 4 is dying, basically.
Right.
So from the beginning, as you know, I had a very, very hard time with wrapping my mind around just the whole,
Yeah.
number and
How did you? Because you never really, you never really showed, as far as like people around you, you never really showed anything. So how did you feel really? Like, were you scared? That might be a dumb question, but were you?
So you know what? And I love that question. I was worse not knowing.
Worse not knowing.
Yeah.
Okay.
In that month where I was being jerked around was the worst month of my life. I was a mess. I was crying every day. I didn't work. I went to work 3 days in the month of June and I was useless, completely useless.
Okay.
So I'm very lucky in the sense that I have very good colleagues that kind of picked up the slack,
Right.
but useless. And then when I found out, and I was like, okay, what's the plan? What are we doing? Because I kind of got two diagnoses, right? First, it was breast cancer, okay, and there was one plan put in place.
The surgery.
Yeah, so it was chemo for 6 weeks, surgery, radiation, and then, recovery, blah, blah, blah. You're back to work in 18 months.
Right.
After the scans were done, though, that's where they saw that it had spread to the shoulder blade. And then a little bit on the rib, and then a little bit on the lower spine.
All bone.
All bone. So that's where you're considered stage 4 as soon as it has spread.
Sure.
So I was stage 4 breast cancer, metastatic breast cancer.
Yeah, that's spread.
That's it.
Basically.
So then it was going to be a very vague plan. Like you do chemo as long as you can, and when you can't handle it anymore, we're going to do targeted therapy. And
Right. Okay. So that the chemo, do chemo as long as you can, meaning at some point your body won't be able to take it.
exactly.
Is that the thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
because there's a lot of side effects in the long run that make for a horrible quality life.
So did you so you did chemo every 3 weeks?
Yeah.
How many rounds did you do?
I did 6.
6 rounds.
Yep.
And let's talk a little bit about how you okay, wait. Let's talk about food a little bit cuz okay. So I want people to get a good idea of your lifestyle, general lifestyle before and now.
Okay.
And like what you changed, and then maybe talk about if you feel as though that helped during the whole thing. So before finding out,
Okay.
what was
so-
your diet like? What was your everything like? What was your lifestyle?
It was just horrible.
In what sense?
To be very, very honest, I was a big fan of, takeout and sugar and all the horrible things that you're not supposed to be eating. I love those things. I was a smoker every day. Not a heavy smoker, but I was a smoker.
How long did you smoke? When did you start smoking?
18.
So half your life at that point.
About, yeah. Yeah, 18 years old.
Do you think that I know it's hard to say, but do you think that at all, now thinking back and now knowing what you know, do you think that at all maybe played any role?
I think
Because you still don't know, right, whether it's genetic or not.
I'll never know, for sure, but I'm convinced that I was single-handedly feeding with everything I was putting into my body, be it food, be it the cigarettes.
Right.
I was never really into alcohol, but
So
just the sugar and the cigarettes alone.
So smoking and like poor diet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't exercise very much, didn't sleep very well, worked a lot,
Like a typical person.
A typical person, yeah.
Yeah. And
A typical person that never thinks that something like this will happen to them.
and then when you found out, what did you obviously quit smoking right away.
I did,
But
yeah.
then the food.
So, the food, it started with you actually that, asked her if there's anything that I should
Her as
change.
in your doctor.
As in my
So-
doctor.
Yeah.
Anything that I should change in my diet.
Right.
And she referred to whatever is said out there regarding sugar as mumbo jumbo.
Yeah. So basically, she said pseudoscience. She called it
That's it,
pseudoscience.
pseudoscience. That's right.
that there's no real data. And I mean, to be fair, she's not wrong in saying that there's no data, real data. There's no real data saying that there's a link between sugar and the cancer. Meanwhile, there's a lot of people who have done it. So that's why I had asked that question. I asked her, like, what if she went keto and just cut out the sugar? Do you think that would change anything? And then she said no. I think she said if her body wants if the cancer wants sugar, it'll find it from somewhere, which I thought was kind of odd because if you're not eating anywhere, where is the cancer going to find the sugar? And she told you just eat a balanced diet. She did tell you to eat well, but she said just eat a balanced diet.
Yeah.
Meaning include carbohydrates into your thing, which I thought was kind of weird. Not weird, but like, I don't know. It just seemed like everyone who's doing it online and was talking about it like this really seemed to work, and the doctors are not really on that trend.
And there seems to be more and more people
yeah.
that are talking about, and even, maybe not on this side of the planet, but around the world, there are other doctors that are treating brain cancer with keto and things like that.
Why do you think we're not doing it here? I think it's because, I mean, why do you think? Like, why are
Honestly,
we not,
my personal opinion, I don't know much about that whole world, but I really think that there's a lot of funding.
That's what I think.
So I think it's a business.
I think you can monetize a diet, but you
So-
can monetize like treatments.
That's it. So maybe every bag of chemo that goes out, somebody is getting an extra $500 in their pockets. I mean, I don't know.
That's what I think too, for sure.
But I think it's the business behind it, because I was blown away, and till this day I'm still very blown away by how the second your diagnosis becomes complicated, how everybody's behavior changes.
What do you mean?
So when it was just in the breast, it was like everybody was guns blazing.
We're gonna beat
Doctors,
this thing.
yeah, we got this. We're gonna beat it. And then all of a sudden, it's a little more complicated. Stage 4, 5 years. We're gonna keep you comfortable with the treatment. Very we're just killing time at this point.
So in this whole time now, I guess from June, when you started interacting with them almost on a weekly basis till today, and today is December 19th, did the doctors at the hospital ever prescribe a diet,
No.
exercise?
No.
Just
None of that.
just
no.
medicine.
Just the chemo.
The chemo.
Yeah. And a bunch of pills. Whatever was happening, take this pill. You have this. Okay, take that pill. Potassium, which I didn't take half of them. I'm not going to lie. I didn't take half of them. So the first couple appointments with the oncologist, I was angry. I wasn't sad. You asked me earlier how I was feeling. I never felt sad. I never felt like, oh my God, I'm going to die.
Never?
No.
Wow.
No. It was really forgive my language, like, F you, lady, you don't know me.
Yeah. Yeah.
At that point, I was 35. She was giving me 5 years. I was going to be 40 years old. I have a 9-year-old.
That's because of the data. That's because they don't. So, your case is so rare.
Yeah.
35, that, they're probably speaking to you in terms of like what the data says about, a 70, 75-year-old.
100%.
Which is kind of crazy.
The initial shock, though, it kind of hits you. It's like you have these thoughts that go through your head, and you're like, well, that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So there was I allowed myself maybe a day to be dramatic. And then I said, no, I'm going to basically take my health in my hands.
Okay.
And although I followed the treatment plan she put me on,
Right.
I only listened to her as far as that's concerned.
And what, okay, so what did you, so you quit smoking.
Yeah.
And now the food, right? So what did you do exactly? Like, you
So-
did keto, but like hardcore keto, right?
So at first, I did keto, but eliminated dairy.
Keto, but also no dairy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
So just explain what that means. Like, what were you eating?
So I had this master list with everything. It was like a top 100 keto foods.
Right.
So I basically stuck to that list, which was
Like meat, vegetables.
yeah, meats, vegetables, fruits, nuts, different oils.
What kind of oils?
I
Like
mostly
olive oil and stuff?
olive oil and avocado oil I stick to.
Yeah.
Stayed away from carbs. So tried to find substitutes, gluten-free pasta, things like that.
Like chickpea pasta, stuff like that.
Yeah. But the interesting thing, though, is you don't realize how many carbs are in, let's say, gluten-free pasta.
That's the thing. Like even chickpea pasta has carbs.
Yeah,
It's
you don't
not
realize. A box of, I was reading one of them, I think it was, I want to say Barilla, the gluten-free ones. It was something like 64 grams of carbs.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I don't think people realize that you know, gluten free doesn't mean
No carbs.
no carbs, and
Yep.
and carbs does not equal wheat. You know, I think people think like, oh, keto is just like cut out bread.
Yep.
But carbs are in pretty much everything. Carbs are in fruit too,
Yep.
technically, right? So then you went more intense, and
Yeah.
so
So-
by the peak of it, as a peak as in like your most hardcore diet, what were you eating?
Which is pretty much what I'm still eating now.
Yeah.
I only eat. I think it's very similar to what they call now the paleo diet.
Right.
But even on the paleo, you can eat more than what I'm eating now.
So what do you eat?
Because right now I only eat meat, and very lightly seasoned,
With what?
salt, pepper, a little bit of garlic powder,
So meat,
olive oil,
right?
a little
right.
bit.
Olive oil is safe. It's fat. It's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
olive oil and avocado oil. That's the
Right.
only two that
Yeah.
I've kept. And very few vegetables, the ones that are lower in sugar,
Green vegetables. Like,
because there's still sugar in green vegetables.
are you
right?
eating fruits?
No.
No.
No, I was at first.
Yeah.
But then you don't realize how much sugar is in fruits.
Yeah. Fruits are great.
I lost my mind.
But yeah, that's
Half a mango is 22 grams of
well,
sugar.
mango especially. Yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy.
2 raspberries is 12 grams of sugar.
That's bananas, really.
10 blueberries, 14 grams of sugar.
So okay. And then, how long have you been doing this? When did you start doing that? Was it right away?
In July,
Okay, so right away. And how did you? Obviously, you lost some weight,
48 pounds total so far.
and none of that. I mean, you had weight to lose, so it's not like, you know, it's not like you're losing weight in an unhealthy way because
No,
of the treatments.
no,
You
not
just
at
lost
all.
excess weight you had.
I had a lot of extra weight to lose.
And do you think? Okay, so then for the treatments, you did 6 rounds of chemo.
Yep.
How did you feel
I felt great
after each one?
after each one.
You never had like, I
My-
mean, you had some side effects,
I
right?
ha-
But
I-
but
but
never
I-
like, you never got weak and stuff like that, right?
So I never had the typical side effects, the nausea and the stomach problem. I didn't have any of those. My blood work was always phenomenal
And got better.
and just got better. Like if you saw the first round, which I had just started with the food, and how every 3 weeks it just got better and better as my eating habits got better. So I had other side effects, the rare ones, which I kept making a joke after every round. I'm gonna get one just to see what it's like.
But then, I mean, that passed, right? Every time?
Yeah, eventually they passed. So now it's more of the healing process.
Yeah.
Like I didn't lose all my hair, no. I lost my nails.
But that's typical. Any quickly reproducing cells will get fucked up by.
Oh
by
yeah.
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 So hair,
yeah.
nails.
Yeah, lost my nails. I got this thing where I was burning from the inside out.
Oh,
So-
I remember that.
yeah.
That passed.
Yeah, it went
what was
away.
That, what was that finally? Just explain what that felt like.
That I was standing over. Okay, so you know when you turn, you open the oven when it's on and you go really close, but like constant.
On your hands.
Yeah.
Just your hands.
Yeah, so just and not even, it was like just the thumb area.
And did
And
they ever say
then-
what that was? Was it a
It
weird
was
side effect?
It was a rare side effect to one of the medications.
Okay.
So, you know, and I was desperate and I went to the pharmacist, and it was only the pharmacist that finally told me put polysporin on it.
And it worked.
Yeah.
Let's go back to your first treatment because I remember that thing that happened.
Oh yeah.
So what happened?
The one time I go with mom.
Yeah. So you had a reaction to one of the was it the chemo or the targeted?
It was the targeted.
Okay. What was the reaction?
It was like I was having an epileptic attack.
Like a seizure.
Yeah.
And what was that finally? Just an allergic reaction?
Yeah, it was an allergic
Is
reaction.
this something that they could have checked for? Or is it so you just have to find out like that?
No, so the thing is, you have no way of knowing what your side effects are going to be, how you're going to react to things, right?
Right.
But what gets to me is that, for instance, this shaking,
Eh.
it's a common reaction to this medication. So I never understood why they didn't give the allergy medication before.
So that's it. So then after that, so it was an allergic reaction.
Yeah.
And then after that happened, and then they started giving you this allergy medication before every
Yeah,
treatment.
and
then it
till
never,
this day, I still
before
take
every
it.
treatment.
Yes.
And it never happened again.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
You know. Okay. So now you're done chemo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you did a scan. Your first scan after starting chemo was you did it at the end of October.
November 22nd, I did the scan.
November 22nd.
It was supposed to be at the end of October,
but it got delayed.
and it got delayed.
Okay. And then the full scan, like everything over again, CT. So what scans?
So I did, I forget what it's called, but it's the test for the heart.
Okay.
Make sure, because one of the, I think it's the same one that burns your hands. It affects the heart.
Mm.
So they had to make sure that the heart is okay. So I did that, and then, take the full machine, the MRIs and the CT scans and everything. And
The same ones you did at the beginning?
yeah.
And they wanted to see how it was kind of spreading or not spreading or
Yeah.
whatever. So what did they see?
So just, to recap, back in June, I had 5 affected areas, right? I had
Breast, shoulder blade.
I had a 14 centimeter mass in my left breast.
14, wow.
I had lymph nodes that were the size of golf balls.
Under your armpits.
Yeah, on the right side. Left side was always coming back clean,
Okay.
because they check you regularly after that.
Yeah.
And then I had the rib and shoulder blade and the spine.
Okay.
So I went that day. My best friend Christina.
Yeah.
Christina came with me, and funny enough, that day was a resident that we met with first, but super professional guy. Like, spoke to me like I was another doctor, so I didn't understand half of the things he was saying, and he was like, no, it looks okay. I'm like, all right, but I want to know about the shoulder blade. Like,
Yeah.
at this point, the breast I didn't care about, because worst case, you operate, you take it out, it's done. But I don't have a visual on everything else, so it's the other stuff that I was concerned with, right? Because whoever would hear, yeah, it's gone in the bones, like the
Yeah.
face, and it's like, okay,
Yeah. The
maybe
stats,
I
the
should be
stats
taking
are-
this a little
yeah.
more seriously, like.
Yeah.
So he opens up my file on the computer, and he excuses himself. So now you've got 2 twats that are in front of the computer screen trying to read and make
Yeah.
sense of it. And everything that I was reading, I was freaking out, because at one point it said like something emphysema. And I'm like, I have emphysema? Like,
What is that?
it's with your lungs. People that have emphysema are the ones that walk around with the oxygen tank.
Okay.
It was freaking me out. And at one point, I see new something, L2, rib, whatever. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So, anyways, disaster. So finally, the doctor comes in.
Your
My
doctor?
oncologist
Yeah.
comes in. And so, how you doing? Your blood work came back. And I'm like, okay, land the plane. Like, what's happening?
Right.
And then she starts reading, all her stuff. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? And she's like, you don't have emphysema. All it just says that your lungs it's like wear and tear, which would make sense considering the number of years that I was smoking.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, but my lungs are good. Considering the fact that I was smoking for so long, they still function very, very well. There's no real damage to them and stuff like that, thankfully.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. Then she continues to read, and it says that the mass has completely disappeared from it. Lymph nodes are back to normal. That the affected area on the bone, on the rib, is clear and healing, which means that the bone has, already started to create new bone.
Right.
Same thing for the spine. And that the area on the shoulder blade that was affected has not changed at all, which could be a good indicator that any cancer cells that are there might be dormant. But they have no way of knowing that 100% without doing a biopsy
On the bone.
on the shoulder blade. Yeah,
Which you've done.
which I have done.
Are you going to do another one?
I wouldn't mind. It hasn't been discussed to do another one, but I would be totally down to do another one just
Right.
to make sure.
So now what's the plan? So after they saw that, they said you don't need chemo anymore,
Yeah,
basically.
chemo's done.
And now surgery is back on the table.
Yeah. So I asked that same day. I asked him like, okay, so based on all of these results, so between me and you, suck it, lady. Okay.
Right.
I'm like, can we start discussing surgery? And she's like, yep. She goes, we're gonna start, shopping around for a surgeon, which I already have one in mind.
Okay.
The one that we met at first.
Yeah.
I really liked him.
Yeah.
So now I'm just waiting to see if they're gonna drag it,
Right.
if it's gonna happen right away.
But you still have treatments.
So, based on what she said, I'm basically gonna be doing targeted
Therapy.
targeted therapy. It's for life.
This is not chemo. This is a targeted therapy specifically just to keep the cancer kind of at bay.
Yeah.
And your hair is going to grow back and all that, right?
Yeah. So it takes some time for the chemo to fully leave your system. But eventually the nails will get back to normal.
Yeah.
The hair will start growing back. Energy level has always remained the same, so all that's fine. So it's really I can go back to a normal life now, slowly.
Okay. Before we get into the next part of this, could you maybe talk a little bit about what it was like to talk to your kid?
Yeah. So that I think was
She's 9.
yeah. So from everything that I had to deal with,
Yeah.
because it's not just the diagnosis that you have to deal with. It's dealing with the behavior that you're going to get from people because you're labeled now.
People as in your family?
As in everybody, as in your doctors, the nurses, your friends, your colleagues, your siblings, your spouse, your whoever.
Everybody.
Just everybody. So there's that. And then there's just all these emotions that you just can't believe it, right? Because you never think it's going to happen to you. Let's be real. These things happen to other people. They don't happen to you,
Yeah,
right?
That's it.
And I was guilty of that. All those things don't happen to us,
We all are.
So that was really something that kind of really brought me back down to earth, right? But the biggest challenge was, what am I going to tell this 9-year-old? How am I going to tell her in a way that she's not going to get scared? Because they know so little about cancer at that age. But it's always associated to death.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I didn't want to use the word because she'll be like, oh my God, my mom's going to die.
Right.
And I didn't want that for her. So I really struggled with it. And then I'm like, okay. So I talked to a few people, and I know you and I spoke about it. And I actually went to my priest at the church, and I asked for his advice. And then I just decided, I said, you know what? I have to tell her something because she's going to notice that all of a sudden, hair loss. Oh, she has new hair. She's wearing hats. Plus, I didn't know what was coming at that point. So
Yeah.
I was expecting, what everybody was saying, that I was going to be bedridden and stuff like that, right? So I just told her that I had a little virus and that I'm getting medication for it, but that medication is a little strong. And then I told her of what could happen, and I kind of slipped in the hair in there. But even that, the first thing she tells me is, are you going to get cancer? And
Because they know the hair loss, I guess, is...
Exactly. And I just kind of brushed it off, and I'm like, no, Anna. I'm like, listen to what I'm telling you. So I told her, because eventually, I had a little surgery done to get a portacath installed.
Is that still in there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it's going to be there, I think, indefinitely.
Okay.
Which fine, doesn't hurt.
Okay.
I mean, so we told her that. And then, so I've been very open with her in the sense, whenever I had a doctor's appointment, she knew if I was going for a blood test, if I had to get treatment, she knew that, oh, mom is going to the doctor to get her new medication. So she knew all of that stuff. She just didn't know what it was exactly. So.
Has she ever asked again?
No, every once in a while she'll ask, like, you know, is your virus okay? Because I've kept her life very normal.
Yeah.
We still do everything we did before: play dates, parties, this, that.
Yeah, I guess it helps that you're not bedridden.
No, no, I don't take out my wig in front of her. You know,
Right.
even if I'm not feeling well, I would suck it up and just so she doesn't pick up on it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know.
So, okay, so now, do you think that, because obviously the chemo worked very well as
Yeah.
far as like the results, but you believe that a lot of that was because of what you were eating?
For me, it's not just the chemo. So I did a complete 180 with my lifestyle, number one, right? As we discussed, I quit the smoking, and then I was eating pretty much like a caveman, and once a day.
Once a day.
Yeah. So I did this, I guess, what is now intermittent fasting.
Yeah, so once a day, and nothing in between?
No.
0 calories in between.
Well,
So
I would have black coffee, but how many
that doesn't
calories?
zero.
Yeah.
0 on coffee. So that's it. So it's basically you did like 23.5-hour fasts every day.
Pretty much, yeah. But that was the norm for me. And it was funny.
Are you still doing that?
There's an odd day where I'll go for breakfast with a friend, where I'll eat 2 times that day.
What do you get for breakfast?
Eggs.
Eggs. And yeah, because they say the fasting is like a thing, right? Like if you fast, your body will. I mean, I don't know about 24 hours, but they say when you fast, your body will kill off like weak cells.
Yeah.
So I know that there's a lot of people talking about fasting as another way to help with that.
So basically, what I like to say is I decided that I was going to starve this thing out of my body.
I think that's the thing, yeah.
I think that's what they're going with. But and I believe it, because if you cut off, although there may not be actual scientific data supporting it, I mean, it makes sense.
Sure. I think that the whole thing is cancer is cells that are growing very, very quickly and like abnormally, and those cells need carbohydrates to be able to grow.
Yeah.
And if you're not consuming any, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to be like, if these things eat sugar and I don't give it any sugar, then what are they going to do?
That's it. Plus, I watched a lot of videos and read a lot of articles and different stories from people all over the world who came forth with their stories. And
Right.
I figured at that point the worst has happened, so I have nothing to lose.
Yeah, I think what we said was like, look, this new diet is not going to do you any harm.
No.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but it's not going to harm you.
No.
So why
and if
not?
anything, I've benefited from it in so many ways. Like I said, my energy levels were, considering the fact that I was on chemo, were the best they've been my entire life, I think.
Yeah.
Again, the blood work came like
I think at the very least, even if it didn't starve the cancer, if it kept you strong enough for the chemo to do its thing, I think that's something in itself.
My oxygen levels were through the roof. They were very, very just to give you kind of the understanding. So when I would walk in for my rounds, there was times where I had the first 3 rounds I had private rooms, which was pretty cool.
Okay.
The last 3 though, I was in like the pit. So there was like,
Is that what it's called?
That's what I called it.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I think that's what they call it. But anyways,
That's not the best name. But.
no, but so it was this big room, and there was like 6 chairs, right? So different people getting treatment. So it's like different types of cancers. And I remember sitting there going, like, I don't belong here. Like everybody's like, like this, and like they look sick. Meanwhile, the nurse kept coming and going, shh, like and I think that's one of the things that helped me a lot, is that I never accepted it. Like,
Yeah. Talk about that.
I refused to accept it. I was like, okay.
To accept, I mean, you obviously accepted that you had it, but you refused to accept that you were going to die from it?
Yeah. And I really dealt with it as it's a cold, it's going to pass. I didn't let it define me. I would get very angry when people would call it my cancer. I'm like, I didn't take ownership of this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I actually almost ripped out my pivot nurse's head off the first day, because she kept calling it your cancer, your cancer, your cancer.
Yeah. It's not mine.
So I think my thing in all of this, the takeaway would be your mindset.
Why do you think? Because obviously you're not dumb. Like you knew that smoking was bad, right?
Yeah.
Your whole life.
Oh, yeah.
You're not dumb. You knew.
I knew the way I was eating was bad. I knew that not exercising is not good. But it comes back to what I said before, that you never think it's going to happen to you.
Right.
That stuff happens to other people. That stuff doesn't happen. That will never happen to me.
Yeah.
We all have this misconception that we're all, superheroes?
Yeah.
Or that we're better. Why wouldn't it happen to me? What makes me better than you, let's say?
Yeah.
So I think we need to be a little more humble as far as that. And you know what's funny, though, is that your whole life you're told, be good in school, get good grades, go to college, go to university, find a nice boy or girl, settle down, have kids. When do we talk about health?
Never. That's the problem.
Health?
That's the thing.
That kind of just slips through the cracks.
I mean, just look how we feed kids.
It's terrifying. So with my entire experience, I don't look at it as a negative. And honestly, this is probably the best thing that could have happened to me. Because number one, it brought me back down to earth in a very horrible way.
Right.
But it brought me
Like
back
a crash
down
landing.
Yeah. Like face first. But it brought me back down to earth, and it really opened my eyes to things that, although we're right there, I just chose to ignore them. So I made better choices for myself, so now I'm making better choices for Anna.
Anna's your daughter.
Yeah, for my daughter. So, but again, just the whole experience, it really feels like it was just here to teach me a very angry lesson.
Yeah.
Because I'm a firm believer that life kind of gives you little signs to wake up, but I ignored them for a very long time. It's
So then
it's been a little surreal, to say the least.
So, what would you okay, so tell me how you spoke earlier about like how people around you started acting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like it's normal. A person doesn't really know how to like when you know the person in front of you has cancer, like it's hard not to speak to them differently. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, no, I get that.
But how were people with you, and what would you say to somebody who doesn't have cancer, but somebody who knows somebody who has cancer? Like, what would you say to them in terms of like how they should act or react? Or
So I understand that, especially for the people that are close to you, when you're first telling them, they need a minute to process. I understand that, and I can appreciate that. What would make me angry is that, like, I'm getting ready to put up the fight of my life right now.
yeah,
Quite literally.
for sure.
Okay? And I, as an individual, have told myself, I will not let this thing define me. I will not let it change me or change anything that has to do with who I am as an individual. But what happens is that you're trying to keep your life as normal as possible, right? Your mindset as normal as possible. But everybody starts to be on eggshells around you. And you know that it's not real. Like with our mother, I would do something, and I knew that under normal circumstances, she would have lost her mind.
Like she'd give you shit for something.
Oh, yeah. But she wasn't. And it's not genuine.
Yeah.
So my advice would be, know your audience.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm aware that not everybody handles it the way I did.
Right.
Most people don't handle it the way I did. But as a family member to somebody that gets a diagnosis like that, they've already got a doctor giving them the worst news that they could possibly get. They don't deserve to be treated as if they're dying.
Right. Yeah.
They need that sense of normality.
So just keep acting as if it's not there.
Yeah. That, but again, know your audience.
Right.
Because the reality is that some people will get consumed by it. That they will, the doctor will tell them something and they're going to hang by what the doctor's saying and that's it.
So what would you say to those people?
Oh my God, to somebody that gets a diagnosis, there's so much I would say to these people. Like, yes, okay, listen to your doctor. Okay, obviously follow the treatment plans, but don't just wait for the doctor to cure you, because they're not. That's the reality. Especially if you have a more complicated type of cancer, you have to take your own health in your own hands. So keep a positive mindset.
Yeah.
Cut out whatever makes you sad. Surround yourself by people that you love and that make you feel good. Do things that make you feel good. Just because you're sick, on paper, you don't have to accept it in your mind.
Yeah.
Like, I never accepted that I was sick. I never dressed like I was sick. I didn't. Like, when somebody would look at me, they would never guess.
You could never guess. That's what everyone who I spoke to that knew, obviously, like, it said the same thing, that you would never know that you had anything. It just looks like you started working out.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy considering you started doing chemo.
Yeah. But honestly, the biggest thing for me is I didn't let this thing consume me. I know faith for me was a big thing. Like, I have a great priest that pretty much was on speed dial whenever I was having a moment or whatever. I could text him at 10 o'clock at night and he would answer me.
Like, what would you talk about with him?
I know that he was one of the people I consulted how to deal with Anna. And I would usually, like, I'll give you an example. Like, after the doctor said, 5 years, I went and I talked to him about that. And I was like, I'm having a very hard time accepting what she said because I don't feel sick.
Yeah.
They keep telling me I am. But I don't feel it. So he goes, so run with that.
Yeah.
Run with that. And obviously, when you're coming from a religious standpoint, they're like, trust that God's going to take care of everything. And for me, I pretty much said, okay, well, I know there's a lesson to be learned here. I don't know what it is. But if this is how you want me to learn the lesson, then so be it.
Right.
So faith was a big thing for me. I went, there was a couple of instances where things happened and like I really couldn't explain them. So I would say it doesn't necessarily need to be God, but find something to believe in.
Yeah.
Everybody is entitled to or if you don't believe in anything like that, be it universes or whatever, believe in yourself.
Right.
Believe that you, with the right tools, can make yourself better. And obviously, I understand that there are situations where they may be inevitable.
Yeah.
But at least try to give yourself the most pleasant experiences as possible.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So now, what's the...
Because the reality is that, and this is my personal opinion, there's no way that in 2023, where people are going to the moon for fun, okay, at this point, if I have $55 million US, I can go, okay? They can tell you things that you wouldn't even dream of 10 years ago. You mean to tell me after all these years, you don't have a cure?
Like, we still haven't figured it out.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You guys produced a COVID vaccine in 48 hours. You mean to tell me in 100+ years?
I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that that's money driven. I think nobody can say that it's there's no money in curing,
And
right?
that's where I'm getting at, is that they won't. So you have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to take your own health in your hands. Listen to what they tell you as far as your treatment plan, but do your own stuff on the side. Like, there's nothing wrong with consulting a nutritionist also.
Yeah.
So, like, I've got like a team. I've got my oncologist that, I see every 3 weeks. She makes me mad and I move on. Naturopaths. So many things naturally that you can take. A nutritionist that can help you. Okay, this is good. This is not good. Give yourself that chance.
I feel like you almost need to have these people because the oncologist, like
They only know what their books have taught them.
right. So and they have to go with their data, and they're kind of like they're like the messenger. They're the ones that have to give you the bad news. So they but and they're not going to go outside their lane. And
No.
tell you
No.
So you need to have
And on top of that, the reality is that in medical school, they don't cover nutrition.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me that they don't cover that, or I think they do like one.
Maybe the one chapter
Yeah,
out
yeah,
of
yeah.
the entire, 10 years that it takes to become a doctor. I think there's one chapter in your entire education as a doctor in medical school. So I can't fault them for that, right?
Yeah.
And even in my case, like she's a younger doctor and like hasn't been around that long, which is fine. Everybody's got to learn somewhere. So,
Right.
they don't have the experience and the bedside manners that you get after treating, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of patients and, years go by. A doctor that's been, treating for 5 years and a doctor that's been treating for 15 is going to have two very different approaches.
Will they?
I think so.
Like,
because in 5 years, you're fresh out of school. You're a little robot.
more like, even the doctor that has 15 years of experience, won't they still just go based on data and say, hey, this is the treatment and this is...
Yes, but they will have more compassion.
Oh, okay. That's what you mean.
Because the human aspect in a diagnosis like this is very important as well. You can't just look at a 35-year-old and tell, well, you got 5 years.
Yeah, that's rough.
What?
For sure. That's
What?
crazy.
Say that again?
Yeah.
That's what I get. I'm 35, but you're going to treat me like I'm 85 because that's all you know? Instead of being like, okay, this could be like an opportunity of a lifetime for somebody like that. Okay, we're going to fight this together. Let's see what's out there. What can we do?
Yeah.
Okay? She saw my results. She gave me my diagnosis. She saw my results. Not once did she ask me if there's anything extra that I did.
I just don't think that they would. I even if you told them, I don't think they would assign any value to it. Like
Zero.
They're gonna say that chemo did it all.
Yeah. Yes.
And we'll never know, really.
Okay. My weight, every time especially in the beginning, because the first couple of months, like the weight was coming off quickly. And they kept telling me, you're losing a lot of weight and, we're concerned. And I kept telling them, I'm like, listen, first of all, I had a lot of extra weight to lose to begin with. I go, and this is what I eat now.
Yeah.
So it's only normal that I'm going to lose weight. And still, every time I went and I got weighed, because they would weigh me every time before my treatments, they would discuss my weight. I'd be like, again, it's because I eat this once a day, blah, blah, blah. I go, why are you so concerned? My blood work is fine. If I was lacking something, it would show in my blood.
It would show up in your blood, yeah. Interesting.
The numbers, okay, a couple of times I was low in potassium, but...
Have a banana. But that has sugar.
Yeah.
What'd you do for that? Supplement?
Nothing.
Did you take, we didn't talk about that, but did you take supplements?
So I
Did you take that multivitamin I got you?
So I still take those, and I'm going to continue, I think, for life.
Good idea.
They're, so it's this multivitamin that you showed me. I take turkey tail mushroom.
As a pill, as a powder?
As a pill. And I take turmeric.
As a pill?
Yeah. sometimes if on towards the beginning before I cut most things out, like
Yeah.
mom would make a little bit of meat sauce and put turmeric inside.
Sure.
That would be just for me, kind of thing. But no, everything capsules. And
Why those things?
so, well, the vitamin that you showed me showed that.
Well, multivitamin is a multivitamin,
Yeah.
but why the turkey tail and why that turmeric?
So turmeric, I mean, it's almost common knowledge that it's very good for cancer
Yeah.
as a preventative and also when you're on it. And the same thing for turkey tail, which I didn't know.
Turkey tail is a mushroom.
Yeah, turkey tail mushroom.
Huh.
So I had no idea. And it is recommended that you should take those things even when you're not sick, like to prevent anything from happening.
I've heard turmeric is like good for a lot of different things.
Yeah, turmeric is fantastic for your body. Like there's so
Yeah.
many recommended shots out there with like turmeric and ginger, and
Yeah.
you make this little power shot, every morning for
Sure.
different things like that. I don't take ginger because I'm not quite sure if they're sugar content or stuff like that yet.
I have no idea. Ginger tastes good, but
That's it. So,
yeah.
and yeah, and
What about things like probiotics and prebiotics? And I know we had talked about that for a little bit, but did you ever?
no, I
Go
didn't
down that
take,
road?
No, I didn't.
I think there's a lot. I think there's some studies now that are getting into like how probiotics help with side effects of chemo, but you didn't seem to have any. So
No, which I'm pretty sure was controlled by the way I was eating. There's just no other, because I must.
what
have
about that? You're just really young.
Listen, also, but there were people, in their 40s, maybe different kinds of cancers, but they were still,
Was there other people that you met during this that were doing the same thing as you?
No,
No.
no.
And did you talk to any of them?
I got called crazy
By who? By
by
them. By them.
by these people. I got called, that I'm feeding into this, propaganda against. Yeah, I heard it all.
Yeah, the pseudoscience stuff.
Yeah.
Like, as in it's not real. It's just blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there's so many people that are
I,
coming.
the best one was, oh, you're just following some twat in his basement with a microphone. That was the best one that I heard.
I just don't get why people think like the food that you eat, the food that you're putting into your body, can't like play a role in all these illnesses. I mean, it's just
Again,
crazy that people don't see that.
It's not that. It's because at the end of the day, you never think it's going to happen to you.
But even when even these people that it has happened to them
Yeah.
are still not using food as a way to beat it, which means they don't believe that the food you're eating, despite it being the only thing you're putting in your body, and your body is literally running on, that doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
It is. It is. It is.
And that
And
like,
maybe 2 years ago, I may have probably shared maybe a similar opinion to that.
sure, me too.
But I just can't see how is it possible.
So now, what would you say to somebody who has never had cancer, but maybe has the same lifestyle that you did before?
Stop.
Straight
And
up.
I'm not saying it as a preacher. I'm really not. And that's the problem. And I'm sure you must have lived it a lot too. I know I bugged you so many times.
Sure. Yeah, you're not saying it to be to.
I'm
you're
not saying it in a way that like I'm not better than you for telling you. I'm not trying to preach you, and I'm not trying to tell you what to do. But
I did it. You know,
As-
I did it, and I lived it. Is what you're saying, like, and it worked.
and that's it. Like this is the lifestyle I had. This is what happened to me. Okay, maybe it's not. There's no direct link, but it sure as hell didn't help.
That's the thing. Even if it didn't cause it, which we don't know. Even if it didn't cause it, there's no way that it helped it because
Because-
when you eat McDonald's and you have the cells that are now growing, you're fucking feeding the shit out of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
And you're
say
35. It's not like you're 60.
No. And, like, obviously, like, eventually I would like to add tomatoes back into my diet,
Sure.
you know. But for now, I'm gonna tough it out until the next scan, and
How
we'll
do
see.
you? So obviously, the beginning was kind of annoying, right? This like eating, you didn't know what to eat, and how. And are you now kind of you get it now? Like you know what you can, what you can't.
Pretty much, like I have pretty much a set menu, and I stick to that.
So when you go to the store, right, and you look at the labels, like what do you look for?
0.
You look for zeros,
I look for zeros.
0 carbs.
Yeah, 0 sugar, 0 carbs, and I read the ingredients. If I start seeing, seed oils and things like that,
Shit you can't pronounce.
exactly. Like I try to keep it as organic and as real as I can.
Yeah.
So it's very
And is the plan to continue eating like this for life?
with
don't-
a
maybe-
little more. Like
yeah.
eventually, I want to add like my fruits back. I
Sure.
would like to add tomatoes back, or like green beans and
Yeah.
But for sure, I won't go back to eating all the junk that I was having. I'm pretty sure that my system right now wouldn't even be able to handle it.
That's good. And now, what about what would you say to parents and their like the way that they feed their kids? Anything? Because to me it starts there, right? Like, I had a poor diet. I'm 34 now, right?
Yeah.
And I basically had a poor diet till I was 32.
Yes. 2-liter Pepsis for breakfast. I remember.
So, obviously, look, our mom, old generation couldn't have known.
No.
They came from other countries where
And we can't fault them for that. They didn't know better. But for us,
that's the thing. We know.
we know better. There's no excuse at this point.
So, what would you say to somebody? And look, we're all guilty of it. Thankfully, I only had kids when I started changing, so I never had to. But I mean, everyone I know, gives their kids McDonald's and gives their kids, junk food, and it's not like they're doing it to harm them. Obviously not. Like you would never want to harm your kid. But what would you say to them in terms of like changing the course of their kids' diets? Because once a kid turns 18, then it's on them.
Yeah.
But it starts when they're young, right?
That's right. It was how you teach them. Like I tell people how Atlas and Livia eat, and they can't believe it.
Yeah.
I show them videos where he's asking for salmon. Like
Yeah. So would you?
it is how you teach them. Now the thing is that in my case, like there was a lot of work that had to go in because Anna was used to a certain thing. Anna didn't have McDonald's every day, but she would get it. Like
Yeah, I don't mean McDonald's specifically. I just mean
but
in
like
general.
takeout and stuff like that. Like
Sure.
there's a couple of things that I've completely cut out because I saw a video that said that they're banned in other countries. So I'm like, well, if they're banned in Europe, then
Yeah.
like
Cornflakes and stuff.
Ritz apparently is so bad. Ritz crackers, stuff like that.
I think I think anything like that is kind of not the move. And so are you finding it? So talk about your experience trying to maybe because you can't go cold turkey with a kid.
No, you can't. You can't.
Are you trying to change her direction in terms of like what she eats and like how are you doing that?
So we have a system. She knows that there's the good snacks and there's the fun snacks. In order to be allowed to have a fun snack, you have to eat all the good stuff. So we're starting with the fruit she eats. Not all of them, but she likes apples, she likes oranges, she likes grapes. We've started, yogurt, so she puts berries on them. Slowly.
Right.
The vegetables, they were a bit more challenging, but like she likes green beans.
That's good.
I know how mom makes it with the sauce and the potatoes and whatever. Like loves that. She likes spinach, but only when it's cooked, like spanakorizo kind of thing.
Yeah.
Carrots, if she has hummus, she'll eat them. And now I've started with the broccoli. So first it was 1 piece of broccoli, you have to eat it. Then it became 2, and became 3. Now she'll eat. If I put her 5, she'll eat the 5, but she'll only eat like the flour part.
That's fine.
Doesn't
That's
like
a good
the stem.
start. Yeah.
So slowly, like she knows. And now she says it with pride. Oh, I had all my good stuff today. I never gave her soft drinks. I'm not big on juices. So as far as that's concerned, we're okay because
Yeah.
it's pretty much water.
Yeah.
and milk.
I think that's a big thing because like kids drink juices like crazy, and it's
Yeah.
just like all this sugar and all these
Yeah, no, she
calories.
does not. Occasionally, she'll have these go-go squeezes that are no sugar added or
What
whatever.
is that? Like a juice?
You know what? It's almost like
Like yogurt?
no.
Oh, is it like mushy fruit?
Yeah,
Okay,
kind
yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about. The little
It's
bags.
almost like that
Mm-hmm.
occasionally, but there's no sugar in them.
So then, you know,
But I still, on the weekend, if she watches a movie, mommy, can I have a bite? Can I have some chips? And I'll take out the small bowl and
do you plan on trying to eliminate that? Like, what's your plan in terms of like in terms of her? Like, are you going to continue slowly trying to move her away from those things?
yeah,
Yeah.
So like she loves the fruit roll-ups.
Fuck.
Okay,
Yeah.
I found
Yeah, they make like healthy versions,
exactly. So things that she loves, I've found substitutes
Right.
that are natural.
Like all fruit, real fruit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
real
That's
fruit,
good.
things like that. So slowly,
Yeah.
I've moved away from the artificial. But occasionally, like when we bake, like sometimes we'll make sugar cookies.
Sure. No,
But
I mean,
that's,
also can be like I went through all the phases, right, where I went super crazy, and then, I get that it's also not kind of sustainable to be 100% perfect all the time. So I think it's normal to, like, 80% of the time be good, 20% of the time be whatever. So I think it's fine.
But even like, actually a couple of weeks ago, one of her friends after, her dance class, they wanted to go to McDonald's. And I'm like, she's like, Mommy, can we go? Can we go? And I'm like, I don't want to say no.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So then I went and I looked at the menu and I'm like, okay, what do I do? Right? So I don't let her have hamburgers from McDonald's anymore because I saw this whole thing on the meats at McDonald's and I was like,
Sure.
okay, none of that anymore. So she got a chicken wrap instead of crispy grilled.
Yeah.
She kept the lettuce inside, which is fine.
Yeah.
She got water instead of, chocolate milk or, other things.
Right.
The fries, it came with a small fry.
Yeah.
So, I tried to.
Yeah. It's definitely a step in the right direction. I mean, you're doing everything.
Like if she goes to a birthday party, I'm not going to tell her, no, don't eat what's there,
Sure. Yeah.
Or don't eat the cake or, At home, we make our own cakes. So I know what's going in them. So
you're pretty convinced then that, like, off the conversation about the kids, but you're pretty convinced then that, like, food is major in everything, not just for cancer, right? But
for everything.
So then, why? I'm gonna say, why did it take you so long? But like you said, you never thought it would happen to you, right?
And that is the only reason why it took me so long. And I didn't listen when you were screaming,
Yeah.
Because definitely, especially in the beginning, like we all mocked you.
Yeah.
With love, obviously.
Sure,
We're
sure.
like, okay, 2-liter Pepsi. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
That's always the argument that I go back to. I'm like, this coming from a person
Yeah.
that would have a 2-liter Pepsi for breakfast. But, the best is at the house when you would come over. Like everybody would hide all the stuff that's not supposed to be there.
That's funny.
So
what's your intention now with? So you're not cured now.
no,
And you may officially never be.
officially.
Right. What's your plan in terms of, like, what's your goal with this? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you talking to me on, like, these cameras?
Okay, well, number one is to create awareness of how important your diet is. And number two, to express a little compassion to people. And And I want to shine some light on how important I feel that your mindset is when you're dealing with something like this. Because the reality is, especially if you get a stage 4 diagnosis, the doctors that are treating you and the nurses that you're seeing, they've already made a decision about you. So,
I mean, the stats are the stats, right?
yeah,
They go based on that.
again, we can't fault them. It's what they know,
Sure.
right? And that belongs to them.
Right.
But as an individual, you have the right to decide that you're going to fight and use every weapon you have at your disposal. Because, like I said, they're not going to do it for you, especially such an advanced diagnosis. Stage 2 is okay. Even stage 3. But stage 4, they're just killing time at this point. So you have to choose to do what's best for you. And if that means taking, a break and going on a 3-week trip to go find yourself, then so be it. Go find yourself. Do what makes you happy. Stop caring so much. Stop stressing so much. We stress and we run and we're rushing. And that was a big thing. And I constantly felt like I was being chased. And I was rushing to catch up to something all the time.
This is before?
Yeah. And it's only now, because I've been off work, right, for several months. And only now am I like, what is it all worth?
Yeah.
We stress for the perfect house, for perfect birthday, perfect car, perfect this, and for what?
Yeah, exactly. If you're not, yeah, it can all, fuck.
Like this.
Yeah.
Like this. In a second, the life I knew ceased to exist in 2.7 seconds. The
Yeah.
life I knew disappeared in seconds, which in my case is not a bad thing because it only brought me so much good.
Yeah.
But if you ask my oncologist that this woman might not live to 50, I mean, I feel differently.
Right.
My body is clearly showing differently, but there's no guarantees, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah, exactly. We focus on making money, and like I know I was just focused on making money for 10 years, just work, make money, health, whatever. I'm fine. But then all that could change in a second.
yeah. Yeah. So again, it's awareness on the food, and obviously, like, don't wait till you get sick before.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think the most important thing that anyone could take away from this is don't wait till you get sick. Like like you said, like, I mean, if you were able to not beat it, but I mean, we don't know yet, but if you were able to do everything you did with your treatment, sure, but with food while you were sick, shit, imagine what somebody can do if they're not sick yet.
Yeah.
Just quit smoking, quit the shit, quit if you drink too much alcohol, quit that, eat better, like, and at some point the food starts to, at the beginning when you're first transitioning,
It's horrible.
for sure.
It is excruciating. Like I think I would cry more for the food than I did for the actual diagnosis.
But now,
Because everything you don't know, right? And in the beginning, everything you're grabbing, you're looking at the label and you're like, okay, this I can. Oh no, I can't have that. Everything is like that for the first few weeks.
but even like the taste, I'm sure like you're going from eating like a sugar packed, all kinds of shit packed food which tastes so good to like these whole foods that do taste good, but not if you're coming off of that. Like if you eat a chocolate chip cookie and then you eat some broccoli, the broccoli would taste like garbage.
No, so for the beginning, like your taste buds literally get whiplash.
Yeah.
Is the best way I can describe it. So the problem is chemo affects your taste buds as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, already things don't taste the way they should when you're on chemo to begin with. So eventually, once you've eliminated the sugar and eliminated the carbs and eliminated all that, and you're eating Again, minimal seasoning, salt, pepper, normal things. Eventually, everything else literally tastes like garbage. And I'm not saying it's garbage. It tastes like it's a foul taste. The best example that at some point I was out and I had to eat. I was dizzy, so I'm like, okay, maybe I should eat something. And I stopped at a Greek restaurant and I got a piece of chicken breast. That's it. Just a piece of chicken breast and a bit of salad, only with olive oil. I ate the salad. I went to eat the chicken. And it was the worst thing I had ever tasted in my life.
Wow.
I cannot describe to you how bad it tasted to me.
And that's because your taste buds were messed up by the keto, or because
So the taste buds,
by the chemo, I mean.
but I also think it's all the stuff that they put in the restaurants, right, to make things taste good. All the salts and the, because first of all, I don't eat table salt. I don't even eat Himalayan salt. I'm on Celtic salt.
Why?
Because it's the purest.
Yeah, I think table salt is like
The worst because
The
it's
worst.
bleached.
yeah,
Right?
that's crazy. I don't think people realize that.
No. Himalayan salt is like the pink salt is still good.
That's what we use, Himalayan.
So, but I'm on Celtic salt.
That's like
It's basically like ocean to table kind of thing. Like if you see it, it still has that wetness. To
yeah,
it.
we have some at home.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's little things like that that you can change in your day to day that will make a difference.
And it gets better. Like that's what I want people to kind of.
And it gets easier, guys, like anything, right? Like no matter what it is,
Yeah.
whether it's you're going to work out, whether you want to pick up a new sport, whether it's learning a new language, the first couple of weeks are going to be hard.
Yeah.
So just, you got to push through it.
How hard was it to quit smoking?
Not as hard as I thought it would be. I guess I was just done with it. Maybe the first couple of days, more the habit of it. Like morning coffee, I had the
Yeah.
reflex of going to sit outside.
How did? Because everyone, like not everyone, but like a lot of people around you smoke.
Yeah.
Are they still smoking around you?
Yes, they are.
Around you, when you're around?
That
Or-
doesn't bother me anymore.
What I mean is, if you're physically there, they won't.
Well, if we're outside, I mean, nobody smokes in the house. Don't smoke in the cars. I don't smoke in my car, and I don't really go in anybody else's car. But
Why do you think they haven't quit? After somebody like, if I were a smoker, I would have quit. I think.
listen, I will express that I'm a little disappointed with my surroundings because it does not get closer to them than me.
Right.
Like you,
Right.
we're from the same parents. It could have easily been you.
Yeah.
Or Michael.
Yeah.
The fact that it's literally in our house. It
Right.
didn't happen to the neighbor. It didn't happen to a friend of a friend.
Right.
It happened in our house. So the fact that that didn't shake them,
Shake them enough for them to change their ways.
I'm not saying to go as drastic as I did,
Right.
but at least something.
Something.
There, I'm a little disappointed in them. I'm not going to lie.
That's something to take away for other people too. Like, it's not just about, like, you have to change. Like, if it made you feel a certain way. So if somebody else is like dealing with the same thing where they have a family member that's going through it, maybe they should consider changing their own ways too.
Yeah.
For them, but also for the person. I mean, I'm sure you would have felt better if they had done something, in their own life.
Like, I'll give you an example. Like, we're several people that live in the house, right? And they're all having, like, I don't know. What can I say? Whatever they're eating, okay?
Sure.
And I'm there with my little,
Yeah, by boiled chicken, I remember. Yeah.
or my eggs. It's shocking. Can you overdose from protein?
No.
Okay.
I think it's the one thing. I
Shocked
think it's
how
the
much
one
eggs
thing.
I eat.
I think it's the one thing you can literally eat as much as you. Even if you think you're eating a lot, I bet you're still not eating enough. Like, you can eat so much protein, and it'd be, yeah. So go crazy.
Oh, okay, good. See, 'cause my appetite is still through the roof.
That's good.
Like, I eat at 5 o'clock, but I'm eating till 6.
Sick.
I've
good.
got like 5 eggs in front of me. I've got a monster salad. I've got, sometimes, whether it's a steak or chicken or I've discovered zucchini zoodles
Oh, that's good.
with shrimp.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
But yeah, that was a little hard, especially at first. Like, it would make me sad.
Now,
I'm indifferent
like you're used to it.
to all of it now. Yeah, the smoking never bothered me, to be honest. Like that kind of.
That's crazy. That would have bothered me the most, I think.
And I'm
'cause-
surprised because I was convinced that I'd be like one of those crazy people. But no, okay, the first, again, breaking the habits.
But why do you think they haven't quit? Like,
it comes back to what I said before.
okay, they
because
don't think it's gonna happen to them, but
you
it happened
never
to
think-
you,
Yeah.
and you're as close to it being me as it could possibly be. That's what I'm saying. If I were smoking, I really think I would have quit smoking.
Yeah. Like, Mom, she's almost 60. The odds of her stopping now,
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
but like, Mikey, there's no reason for him to be smoking.
I agree with that. Yeah,
There's no reason for him to be smoking.
yeah, we're gonna put him on blast a little bit. Yeah, he should definitely quit.
Yeah, because like we said, you, me, and him. Okay, Mom, whatever. But the three of us,
Yeah,
we're literally from the same tree.
yeah.
So, like I said,
Yeah, if it happened to
it
you,
was
it can happen to
was
us.
just a draw at that point. Who it could have happened to.
Yeah.
So, it's
Whatever. I mean, you made your changes, and
listen,
obviously,
I did what I felt I had to do. Like I said, I took control of my own health.
Yeah,
And I said I have nothing to lose at this point.
Right.
The worst has happened,
yeah.
and
And
I'll
now, I
ju-
mean, you're gonna come out of the other side, like so much better. Non-smoking, eating like, I don't think there was a healthier diet in the world than what you're eating. So that's, after all this, it's kind of crazy to say that it was kind of like a good thing
but
in a really fucked up
you
way.
know, when I say that it's the best thing that could have happened to me on any level, whether
Yeah,
it's health,
like a wake up call. Like
whether it's the way I see things, whether it's my relationships, whether it's just my whole outlook on things.
Yeah.
And everybody says like, you have this profound moment. There is no profound moment.
No, it sounds like there was.
It's just you kind of transition into this new you, but there's so much chaos happening all at once that you don't even realize it. And then you just wake up to things and it's like, wait a minute, this a year ago would have driven me bananas. Or this a year ago didn't bother me. Now it's affecting me. So you keep your head up,
Yeah.
and if anybody would ask me, how do you get through it? You just keep your head up
Yeah.
and just push through.
Yeah, you just get through it. Don't let it.
You go straight through it.
Yeah.
You don't back down. You don't. We're all human. We all have our moments. I had a couple, but you just gotta look at this thing in the face and say, "F you,"
Yeah.
and that's it.
Word.
Because at the end of the day, they say if you believe you can move mountains, that's what it comes down to. And like I said, you don't have to believe in God, believe in something. And if you don't have something to believe in yourself that you can do it. Listen to your doctors. I listen to her. She tells me, okay, we're going to do this treatment. Okay, you're going to do this. Okay, no problem. But that's it.
Yeah.
Do not look for them for pity, for sympathy, for understanding. They're there to give you a treatment plan.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
there
exactly.
to
There's
deliver
scientists.
information. That's it.
Yeah.
You have to put in the work. Because if I believe that if you get a diagnosis, you have 5 years, 10 years, and you accept it and you believe it, you're gone before that.
Yeah.
Because you stop fighting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So mindset, nutrition, and belief. And you can believe, for me, it's God. For somebody else, it might be the stars. For somebody, it might be the universe, whatever.
right.
And that's it. That's the advice I can give.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's great. Okay, I mean, we can. If there's anything specific you want to add, if there's any message you want to say to somebody or anything, now was a good time. If not, we can start to wrap this up. I think we're good.
Yeah, the only thing I would really say is for anybody that's getting a new diagnosis is allow yourself the time to process the information. You deserve that. And allow yourself 5 minutes to be dramatic, as I like to call it. To scream, to yell, to even feel sorry for yourself. 5 minutes. Now, obviously, 5 minutes. It could be a day, but don't sit there. Be dramatic, feel it, and then move on. Roll up your sleeves and get ready for the fight of your life.
Yep.
Ask for help if you need it. Because there are times where you're going to be tired. Ask for help. You're not a superhero. And this will probably be the only time in your life where you will have an endless supply of people to do things for you. Take advantage of it. You don't have to be a superhero. And you don't have to get everything done in that moment. Leave something for tomorrow. Stay active and try to live your life as normal as possible. And that's it.
Okay. Well, that's great. Cool. Well,
Right.
I'm glad we did this.
Me too.
It was good. And yeah, we'll try and do like a follow up, to see how everything is going.
All right.